Yaakov, we are in Brachot 56b, and what we have is we're going to again we're dealing with visions of different things in your dreams. So Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Rabbi Yeshua, the son of Levi, said, Haro'et Nahar Bachalom. If one sees a river in a dream, Yashkem Vayomer, he should arise and say the following verse: Hineni nota eleha kinahar shalom. Behold, I will extend peace to her. Who's the her in this verse? Jerusalem, like a river. Kodem sheyikadmenu pasuk acher. Before another verse comes to his mind, first, namely, ki yavo kanahar tsar, for travail comes like a river. And what happens is, they explain, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi indeed concurs with the previous Tanaim and Amarayim, who construe the dream vision of a river to be generally a favorable sign. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi contends that if one associates the vision with a negative premonition, he must thereby impute to the dream he might, therefore, impute to a dream disfavorable portent. Thus, the person who sees a river in his dream ought to recite to himself the favorable verse associated with his vision. Marsha also suggests that the Gemara is concerned that a disfavorable verse may come to mind is based on the Gemara's early contention that when a verse inexplicably comes to one's mind immediately upon awakening, this is deemed a veiled portent of future tidings. This, of course, is the assumption that you have verses in your mind. Okay. And once again, we're seeing a nice insight into the rabbis or the time period, unlike today. The time period was people were very seemingly fluent in Torah. And I'm not just talking about 5 books, I'm talking about the entire Tanakh. So they would have all these verses at their fingertips. And now I'm not sure how historically correct that's going to be or not. We're called the people of the book. It could be because of that. It could be because this was just modern day, for those people, modern day parlance, that people would speak that way. In other words, it could have been the sayings of the days. It could have been that they actually were studying. It could have been a combination of everything.
Is Gemara addressed to everybody or just to those who have, in fact, studied a lot?
The oral tradition was open to everybody. But more than that, again, you have the written tradition. They're calling the written tradition. So they're looking at the Tanakh. The Tanakh, again, you have to think of in that time period where it could have been the books that they're learning in school. As a matter of fact, the speaker from Shabbos said that the original Israelis, in 1948, the modern state, their textbook was the Tanakh. And they learned it so that the archaeologists of those days can quote verses back and forth, because that's how they learned it. As compared to today, where they don't learn in that. Apparently, they don't learn it in that sort of fashion. Okay, there was a rabbi when I was taking I was getting my master's. So there was a rabbi who was, I think he was considered a professor at that point. No, I don't think he went with his rabbi title, but he also knew Tanakh fluently, which is abnormal. For a man to know Tanakh at all is abnormal. This man certainly to know fluently is abnormal. Abnormal is reserved for the women. The Beis Yaakov is known for knowing. The teachers are known for knowing the Tanakh, because that's what they focus. We focus on Gemara. They focus on Tanakh. But this guy knew it, and so why did he know it? Because when the teacher would want to punish them, they would make them learn by heart a chapter of Tanakh. Apparently, and he said, and I wasn't a good student. So I ended up learning the entire Tanakh as punishment.
Wow.
But as a result, he knows it. Or he knew it. I should be still alive, let time to 20. I forget who it was, but I remember that he could quote verses like crazy.
Wow.
So the point is the same thing here. If I'm in that mode, again, so now we're going back. This is our main textbook. The Tanakh is our main textbook, and this is the explanation on it. Now, this wasn't written down.
No.
This is all in the ear. This is oral tradition. So, as oral tradition, the rabbis are saying, okay, if you wake up with this verse on your mind, so then it's a veiled. It could be potentially a prophecy of what's going to happen. So now what happens is, okay, great, that's one thing. Now if I have a dream which I saw a river, now what's the problem? Everybody thinks about what their dreams mean. That's today too.
Yeah.
No matter how crazy the dream is, either we say it's a chillent dream, or we say it's a dream of anxiety, or I saw something on TV, or whatever the case is going to be. So now what happens is, or I heard something on the radio, okay. And so now what happens is we have to try, we spend time on trying to untangle the web that we have in our mind of what's really happening. So that hasn't changed in thousands of years. So now what the rabbis here are saying, what Rabbi Yehoshua Balnevi is saying is, if you wake up and you saw that, so you should immediately bring to your mind a verse that is favorable, and not the other side. In other words, when we're interpreting our dreams, we should always go to the favorable. Because why? Let's not forget what the original thing is. The dream follows the interpretation. Okay?
Yeah.
Whether or not that's self-fulfilling, like I said many times, or whether or not that is what's actually happening, the dream follows the interpretation. So you want to be careful with that and interpret it properly. So the Gemara continues, says, Aroeh tzipor b'chalom. If one sees a bird in the dream, Yashkim v'yomer, he should wake up and he should say, Kitziparim avot again. Like flying birds, so will Hashem, Master of the Legions, protect Yerushalayim. Kodem shekadmenu pasuk acher. Before another verse of a negative portent comes to his mind, namely Kitzipor nodedet min kana, like a bird that wanders from its nest. So is a man that wanders from his place. Haroa kedera b'chalom. If one sees a kettle in his dream, Yashkim v'yomer, should get up and say, Hashem tishbot shalom lanu. Hashem set peace for us. Kodem shikadmenu pasuk acher. Before another negative verse comes up, namely shafot hasir shafot. Set the pot, set it. And so Ezekiel is saying in this as well as in ensuing verses, the prophet evokes the metaphor of a simmering pot on a stove to describe the horrors of a siege that will befall Yerushalayim. So then, Mora haroeh anavim b'chalom. Let's say somebody sees grapes in the dream. Yashkim v'yomer should get up and say, Ka'anavim b'midbar. I found Israel like grapes in the desert. And this is for Hosea. Hosea. So he says, this simile portrays God as regarding with enthusiasm the nascent Jewish people he had just delivered from Egypt. Kodem shikadmenu pasuk acher. Before the negative verse comes to his mind, namely anavemo in verosh, their grapes are grapes of gall. And this describes the iniquitous deeds of the Jews for which punishment is deserved. Harabachalom. If you see a mountain in your dream, so Yashkim Yomar, you should get up and say, Manavu ala rimagli mivasja. How pleasant are the footsteps of the herald upon the mountains, which the verse concludes, announcing peace, heralding good tidings, announcing salvation, saying unto Zion, your God reigns. versus Kodem Shikadmenu Alka versus the negative verse Al Harim Esa Bechi V'Nehi. For the destruction of the mountains, I will raise my voice in weeping and wailing. And the verse is from Jeremiah. The verse describes the prophet's lament upon the forthcoming destruction of Judah and Jerusalem. The one thing that this whole thing should awaken in us, I don't know if it will, but it should, desire to learn these books. Think about that. What's going on in all of these books, negative and positive, is if we follow the mitzvot, we get this. If we don't follow the mitzvot, this will happen. In other words, the dream, as it were, could be a way for us to get involved in the text. The same way, by the way, the rabbis put these, told us we should think this way, we should think that way. By the way, the assumption of the rabbis in the Gemara is that you know what they're referring to. Okay, that's an assumption that they make. If not for the Masor Hashas on the side here, we would not know, well, unless you know Tanakh, you would not know what they are referring to unless it's one of those famous verses that you're going to know. But they are running through what we, just to run through these things. They're going from Bereshit to Mishlei to Micha to Yeshaya to Mishlei, Hosea, Yeshaya, Yirmiyahu, and then Shirashir, they'll go to Malachim, Malachim Beit, and so on and so forth. Devarim, Shemot, Zechariah. They're running through verses here like it's water.
Just back and forth.
Back and forth. This verse versus that verse. Again, there's what it should wake us up to is one that we need. By the way, if I was learning Gemara without Art Scroll, without any commentaries, besides Rashi, what it would tell me is also that I should go. That's, by the way, the beauty of the Masor Shas, the one who tells us where everything is in Shas. The truth is, it's interesting. This shouldn't be a Masor Shas. It should be. There's another one that they. Well, okay, Masor Shas normally just tells you where it's in Shas. There's another commentary that tells you. Oh, Torah Or. Torah Or, that's what I was looking for. Torah Or is the one that tells you where in the Tanakh, or the Shas tells you where it is in the Shas. And so I'm using a reference. So Torah Or is the one who wrote this down, telling us where all these things are. So they're combining it on this page. But the bottom line is, like I'm saying, if what I should be doing is going back to every one of these verses and seeing them in context. Okay, so even if I don't know them, I should be learning them. That's why if I was going through a page like this in Gemara, it would probably take a good day to figure everything out, to know what's going on. No matter how fluent I am, I want to get into the context of what's being said and why I should suddenly have this verse in mind.
Then you got to stop and maybe read a whole chapter.
Correct.
In other words.
I remember when I was learning I was learning something up to teach it. That's what it was. I wasn't in yeshiva anymore. And what happened was they mentioned something that was mentioned, and I didn't get it. I couldn't understand what was going on. So I had to go back to whatever it was, Hosea, and I see the book Hosea. So what happens? I found the verse, I looked at it, and it still doesn't make sense. So I had to read the chapter. So I had to go from the beginning of the chapter to track what was going on. Well, then I said, it's also I had to keep going back until I said, okay, so fine. So now, and then I finally got it. Once I understood what was going on, then I could deliver the class. Then it made sense to me. But until then, sometimes you have to go back.
Wow.
And again, that takes a lot of time. That's why these guys prepare shiurim all day long. They're not, you think, he walks in, he gives a class for 1 hour. 20 minutes, whatever it's going to be. And that class took a good, it could be 10, 15 hours of research just to get it down for you to be able to give it over.
To be able to present it fluently and
right,
explain.
Right, because there's always going to be somebody asking you a question. Why this versus that? And so you have to be prepared to answer that and to know what the different, again, I'll pick on Yirmiyahu, what Jeremiah was really talking about. And so, and for that, if I really want to know, I have to know the history. So I have to do a couple of things. I'm looking at a whole bunch of areas. Who was the king? What was going on? What was the time period? And that's, by the way, that's why I use Torah Umada, where I'm combining my secular knowledge with my religious knowledge, and I'm synthesizing them together, so to explain what was going on behind the scenes. That's really the beauty of Torah Umada, Torah and Derech Eretz, whatever the im will be for that case. But that it's really something that people who just run through the Gemaras, and even if they translate them, and even if Rashi does comment once in a while, it doesn't really normally get you into what they were really trying to get.
Why?
That's why, by the way, if you go to the Maharsha and you go to the Eitz Yosef, the Anaf Yosef, and so on and so forth, so they give you a deeper understanding. But the best way to get the understanding, proper understanding, is to actually go back to the source. And I'll take everybody's word for it, if you will. They're all valid. I'm not saying anybody's invalid here. But what I'm saying is you should first know what's going on, and then you can really appreciate what they've done. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's very important to go back to what we call the primary sources. And again, because Yirmiyahu, Hosea, by the way, Hosea is one of the minor prophets, quote unquote minor prophets. So who pays attention to him, right? And Jeremiah he's all over the place, telling us it's a very sad story, and who wants to read it? Yeah. But that's the point. We have to get back into that, and that's what the rabbis are attempting to do. To many times just say the verse, and assuming we know it, and if we don't, it's our job to really go back and figure out what's happening. And the worst that would happen is we actually learn something from Tanakh. Okay.
A good example is what you do for us in Judges. When we interpret and get in between the lines.
That's what you have to do, otherwise you miss the story. Correct. Okay. Let's go on. So it says, so again, I said that already? Yeah. Hara shofar b'chalom. One who sees a shofar in a dream, Yashkim b'yomar, he should get up and say, V'haya b'yom hayo. It shall be on that day that the great shofar will be blown. We're talking about when the Messianic age and the ingathering of the exiles of Jerusalem. Before another verse comes up, namely Tiku Shofar B'Giva, sound a shofar in Giva, which again is of Hosea. In this verse, the sounding of the shofar warns of the approaching of marauding troops destined to overrun Israel and Yehuda. Oh, and one other thing I'll say too. Let's say it's your Rosh Hashanah, and you're the Baal Tekeah. The other one is going to blow the shofar, and you see a shofar in a dream. Okay, so you can take it one of two ways. You can say, "Oh, it was on my mind. That's why I was nervous about blowing it," or you can go the other way, and you can say, "Hashem is trying to tell me something." And if Hashem is trying to tell me something, go for the positive. Understand? So even if I can put it up to some reason that I had a dream, that I have a dream, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't interpret it to the good. I can always say the good verse, so and let it happen instead of leaving it open-ended. Who knows what's going to happen? The point is, I should interpret it well. Should always give it a good spin. That's the game. That's the political game too. Always give it a good spin. Okay.
Power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
Correct. Power of positive thinking and the power of knowing all these verses well.
But also why it's important to do your prayers first thing in the morning, because you're connecting these dreams of the night with the positive of the day.
Okay. And then also we daven 3 times a day. Don't forget, morning, noon, and night. So your boss tells you off in the afternoon, and then you dive into Hashem for compassion.
3 times.
That's right. That's compassion.
3 chances to become positive.
Right. Okay, Haro Keleb Bachalom, one who sees a dog in a dream. Dogs are not a good thing for the Gemara, by the way.
Ooh.
Because, let me just finish what I'm saying, then I'll let you go. Because a dog bit somebody in Jerusalem, and that's why they shouldn't have dogs. But
I thought there's some Gemara someplace that's favorable to a dog.
no, there's also a Gemara. It's a midrash actually that what was the sign that was given to Adam Arishon? Cain after he killed Hevel, a dog. A dog would go ahead of him and show him where he would go. He would be the leader. That's good. A dog also, it says in the story of Exodus, that a dog did not bark because they would have barked if there was dead people there, and the dog did not bark, and not one dog barked. So as a result of that, we give our nevelot to the dogs, or trefot to the dogs, because that's their reward. God gives every animal everything a reward. So there are some positive spins about a dog, but in general, we're the rabbis of the Gemara. We read this in Shabbos, the Gemara Shabbos. Your son-in-law was just learning it recently, and it was saying that I forget which rabbi it was, but the rabbi said that dogs are no good because they bit somebody and they hurt somebody and so on and so forth. Okay, so dogs have it's not a favorable, at least in Gemara times, it's not so favorable versus the Torah. Yeah.
I was just saying, is there the dog feces that you might use for something?
Say that again, please.
In the Torah, dog's feces is used for something?
Feces?
Yeah, I thought it was used for something.
I'm not sure.
Maybe like parchment or something?
No, I don't believe so. I'm not sure. I never heard of it, but if it's maybe some feces, you don't make parchment from feces.
I mean, if you're gonna make it from hide, you need to somehow.
Say it again?
If you're gonna make parchment from hide, you need to somehow cure the hide.
Oh, curing it. Oh, okay. So you mean in the curing? I don't know. It could be possible. I'm not sure. Okay, so it's again, Haroa Kela B'Chalom, or what would that mean? Anyway, what would be the point? That they have some positive aspects? Okay. Again, as far as they have a positive aspect, I wouldn't deny. But that they're vicious animals, that's another part that we have to look at. Now, your little dogs wouldn't be considered vicious animals. We're looking at more German Shepherds or something like that. When you're talking about vicious, guard dogs, what were they? What are the big bulldogs? Pit bulls. Pit bulls are vicious. So again, you have to.
Junkyard dog.
We're not looking at. I don't know if we're looking at Lassie versus the junkyard dog, but is that it?
Lassie can be very vicious.
I'm just saying. I'm not sure we're looking at the Lassie type, where she was always a good girl. Or Lassie was right. Versus, like I said, the junkyard dog. I don't know what we're looking at. All I know is, like I said, the rabbi in the Gemara didn't like him, and that's why I don't think they're supposed to have him in Yerushalayim. I forget how that worked. But Aroa Kela B'Chalom, if one dreams and sees a dog, in the dream Yashkim B'Yomer, he should get up and say L'chol Ben Yisrael Lo Yerech Kelev L'Shano. Again, it's what we were just talking about when the Jews were in Egypt and the death of the firstborn. Not a dog. It says not a dog shall wet its tongue. I'm not sure what wet its tongue means, but okay. WHET. It really means he didn't bark, so I guess that is what wet is. Okay. It says the verse foretells the slaying of the Egyptian firstborn in sharp contrast to the grief and the death that will engulf the Egyptians during the plague. The Jews, it states, will enjoy complete tranquility. Not even a dog will bark or howl against them. Okay, verses Kodem Shikadmenu Pasuk Acher. Before another verse comes to their mind, namely V'Kalavim Azib Nefesh, that dogs are greedy. This from Isaiah. The verse compares the corrupt aristocracy of Israel to dogs concerned only with filling their own stomachs. There you go.
You should leave a dog out with a bag of food. It'll eat all the food until its stomach.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know when to stop?
Yeah.
Most of the time. Or some like each particular dog has its own thing. So when you some exceptions for the individual dog, most time, a dog is always hungry.
Yeah, you don't want to put unlimited food out in front of a dog.
That's just amazing because
Until it can't.
huh?
It'll eat until it can't.
Until it's filled.
Until it literally cannot feel. You can see the little kibble bits in its stomach.
Ah, that's an amazing thing because you would think that everything has what do I want to say? That everything has a turn-off valve, if you will, in their mind, and God gives everything in its proper time. So to say that maybe the dog's concern, if you will, is that they don't know where the next meal is coming from.
Yeah.
And the question would be: do other animals do that?
Cat.
Cat also will do that.
At least our dad had the story because he left the dog's food out, or the cat food, and both the dog and the cat were just laying in front of a bag open. The bag was completely empty. Our mom and dad left. They had their chance to get to the food. Mom and dad came back, and the dog and the cat, food was completely gone. The dog and the cat were just sitting there going, had the food in their stomach.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay.
But one of the cats, our other cat, didn't.
Oh.
For some reason, the other, our other cat, we had two cats.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know why.
Because the cat didn't let her.
Yeah, there were like two animals in.
All right. So now, okay, I'll take you guys right for it. So Haroa Ari Bachalom. Once he's a lion in his dream, Yashkim Yomer should get up and say, Ari Sha'ag Milo Yira. A lion has roared, who will not fear? Kodem Shikadmenu Pasukher Ale Aryeh Misubacho. That the lion has left his den. What's going on here? So Amos, in the first one, the good dream, Amos compares the awe-inspiring words of God to the roar of a lion when he says, well, a lion has roared, who will not fear? And the negative verse is in Babylonia is likened to a lion. Its leaving the den refers allegorically to setting on a road of conquest that will bring it to Yerushalayim. Now, this also is a fascinating thing that I want to speak about 1 second. That when the rabbis when the prophets are speaking about these different countries who are attacking, they're using euphemistic language. Why allegoric language? Why would that be?
Sure, it's traits, I guess.
But why wouldn't they say Babylonia is going to attack?
Then they give it a name.
Well, they can give it a name versus what's going on, right? But it's also a hinting to the people, and without telling the enemy what we're saying. I mean, it's a good ploy. The problem is that if I don't know, and this again is having the oral tradition, if I don't know what Yirmiyahu is referring to, then I'm lost.
You don't know the secret code.
Right.
You have a code so the enemy can't find out, but you also don't know the code.
Then it's lost. So that's why when we know the code, and it's very interesting in how they're looking at the Babylonians, that they're likened to the lion because they're going out. They're the ones they were the big shots in those days, so they're the lion. Okay, so if I have to know that Yirmiyahu 1 is Babylonian times, number 2 that they're on the ascent, and that's who destroys our temple. So it makes sense. And why the lion? Because the lion's the king of the world, the king of the not the king of the world, the king of the animal kingdom, the king of the animal kingdom. So, like I said, it's interesting that. So, by the way, when you start learning all of these books, you should always think about that. Who are they referring to? Is it a person? Is it a group? Is it a country? Is it us? By the way, Son Israel, when they say the haters of Israel, you know who they're talking about? Yes.
The what?
Ourselves. They're talking about non-religious Jews, Jews who have left the fold. They're the Son Israel. Not the Goyim. You would think the Goyim are the Son Israel. They hate us. Okay, fine. All the nations, doesn't matter which ones. Okay, they all hate us. So that's the Son Israel. No, Son Israel is us. The ones who aren't following the rules, they're the Son Israel. Why are they Son Israel? Why are they the haters of Israel?
They refuse God's command.
Correct. And once they refuse God's command, what happens?
Punishes us.
God punishes us. Why? Because Kol Yisrael Ravens of Vizeh. All of us are integrally tied together. So we are our enemies. Or as Pogo said, I've seen the enemy and it's us. Okay, so Pogo apparently was a comic.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know these guys don't know Pogo.
It hasn't changed today.
Right. So that's really what's going on. So again, when we see the language, when we're looking at these prophets, or even, it's basically prophets. But when you come to the blessings of either Yaakov or Moshe to the sons or the people, respectively, again they speak in terms when they say you're Bechor Shor, you're the firstborn of the ox. What does that mean? Who is that referring to, and what attribute is it referring to? Okay, Naphtali is like a hind, that's a swift hind. Why? Why did Yaakov or Moshe refer to Naphtali in that sort of a manner? And they basically mirror each other's. Moshe basically mirrors what Yaakov was saying. So the question is why they use such language. Okay, and that's what we have to figure things out. Okay, let's continue. So it says, "Haroah be'ir b'chalom." If one sees a well in a dream, so Yashkim Yomar should get up and say be'ir mayim chayim, a well of living water, and that's from Bereshis. Kodem Shikadmu Pasuk Acher, before another verse comes to his mind, namely Kekir Bayim Imeha, as a well issues forth its water, so she issues forth her evil. The prophets employ this. Jeremiah, the prophet, employs this analogy to portray the incessant stream of evil deeds committed by the citizens of Yerushalayim. Again, we're our own worst enemy sort of situation. If one sees a reed in a dream, Yashkim Yomer, should get up and say, Kana Ratzutz Lo Yushbor. He will not even break a bruised reed. There's Isaiah, the prophet portrays the servant of God, the Messianic king, as being so gentle that he will not break even a bruised reed. Verses קודם שיקדמנו פסוק אחר, הנה בטחת על משענת הקנה הרצוץ. Behold, you have relied upon the support of this cracked reed, which is again Isaiah. And in this verse, the prophet chastises King Chizkiah for his reliance upon an alliance with Egypt. In this context, the verse likens Egypt's assistance to its allies to support offered by a bruised reed, which if a man leans on it, it will enter his hand and puncture it. Because what's going to happen with an alliance?
It's both ways.
Well, what happens if you rely upon an alliance versus God?
Oh, you rely upon man.
Right, and therefore, the alliance falls. And if you want proof of that, by the way, all you have to do is go historically back to 1991, when since 1970 on, I was in college, so probably 1978, I think I was a freshman, 79, something like that. When was the Sinai given back? What was this given back? It's the wrong language. When did they relinquish the Sinai to Egypt? You remember the date?
It's the Egyptian peace treaty.
Yeah, Egyptian peace treaty with Anwar Sadat. Whatever that was. So it was supposed to be. It was many, many years ago. Like I said, I was in college, so it was 78, maybe before that even. 76. I forget what it was, and the peace treaty was between Egypt. What happened was Anwar Sadat, I think it was Anwar Sadat, came to, he was the first Egyptian guy to come to Israel to sign with, I think it was Begin, if I remember all the history correctly. It was with Begin. Who? Menachem Begin. So, and the Sinai was supposed to remain a non-militarized zone. No, it was under the control of the Egyptians, but it was supposed to remain a non-militarized zone. Okay, sorry? Okay. Within 24 hours of the signing of the peace treaty, Egypt moved its troops in. They broke the treaty right away. Israel never said anything. The world never said anything, by the way. The world never said anything. Okay. Now, what happens is, now fast forward. They have been in peace, quote unquote peace, for an alliance of Israel since the 70s. Comes 1991, and Hussein, I think it was Hussein, was threatening to bomb with biological warfare Israel.
Yeah.
Hussein? It was Hussein.
Saddam Hussein, yeah.
Saddam Hussein. Okay, the first Bush. So he was threatening to walk in. Israel had been allies with America since 48. We were the first ones to recognize.
Yeah.
Since 48, we had an alliance with America. That day came, and Saddam Hussein was threatening to bomb. Israel wanted to protect itself. All the allies, America, Egypt, and so on and so forth, said, if you fight back, we will bomb you. The great United States of America, great record with Israel. Obama's not the first one to be an abomination for that system. He's in a long line of people who have broken treaties. Okay, so when they say that he was bad for Israel, no. Bush and that was Bush, right? And there are other people who also would break treaties like crazy. But the worst thing is, like I said, Egypt also said, we'll jump on the other side. We'll destroy you. You can't fight back. We want you to die, basically. Okay, that's the alliances. That's what they're saying here. That's what he's saying. You rely upon Isaiah said, you're relying upon them is like relying upon a bruised reed. What's going to happen is going to puncture you. It's not going to break. It's going to puncture you. It's going to hurt you. Okay, so I understand that I can't rely upon something that's going to, if it's going to fall, a ladder is shaky. You don't go on the ladder, but it's going to hurt me too on the way down. And that's what they were saying. So it's an amazing. Again, this is all from Isaiah and so far back, but really it applies to this very day. Let's go on. So, yeah. Now. Tana Rabban, the rabbi said, also I'll give you the introduction, the Braita introduced the notion that an item seen in a dream may be a precursor to an unrelated but similar sounding concept, and actually we'll have to stop here. Okay, I'll have to stop here.